Hey everyone, welcome back. So this is Monday, and I'm coming in here to work on the camper to do more waxing. So last Saturday we finished up by getting these seam plugs put together to make our plug seam molds, and we waxed it a lot. Put about 3 coats on there. We changed this radius there, so I'm going to put another coat of wax on it because we have a lot of things what we call, they're 24-hour sets, and what that means is it takes 24 hours to set up. So I'm going to wax this today. I'm hoping it'll dry enough for me to get some tooling gel on here, and then tomorrow I can do some layup or something on it. But so we changed this radius with Bondo. I just wanted to show you guys this too. You really want to concentrate on getting a lot of wax on this stuff because it likes to absorb wax. It's very porous, so you can't wax that too much. It's very important to pay special attention to an area with exposed Bondo if you do what we did by changing the shape. It loves to stick. One of the other things with this wax, you can tell that you're getting enough wax on there, is you'll get like this greenish tint to the plug. And we're not there yet, so I'm going to put another couple coats on it. All right, stay tuned. Let me tell you about the edges of this thing. That's also really important. So, I'm going to throw this away when I'm done with it. I'm only going to make another form off of it, and then it's garbage. So sometimes when you do that, you don't pay attention to the details of the edges. So pack those full of wax. It's really important to do that because what will happen is they'll fill up with resin when you laminate onto them, and then sometimes it'll just stick. Also, wax the edge really well. Don't do it with just the paper towel. I dip my flannel gloves on, so I'm not going to stick my hand in it. You just grab it, and then you just smear it on there with your hand, and then smooth it out with a paper towel. Make sure you get a lot of wax on the edge, because this is what happens. When you laminate your material up, it comes up here. Well, the resin will kind of pool on the edge there, and then it runs down the other side sometimes. And then, you have raw fiberglass back there. That'll lock it up on you, and it's a bitch to get it off of there. Oops, sorry, I said. Okay, I'm not gonna edit. I've been editing this one for a long time. This is like my 4th take of this. I am not starting over. Excuse me, I guess. Anyway, yeah, just pay attention to the edges. It's really important to take the time and work the edge. I know it sounds dumb after I just told you that I didn't pay attention to the edge when I was laminating it, but it's just a few spots. Just pack it full of wax. Make sure you don't have any parts where the resin can pour down in there and pool up on you, and lock the 2 laminates together. Let's talk about attention to detail really quick, and just want to point out some other things. There's a lot of stuff to learn here. It's pretty cool. That's why I like this so much. So just a lot of information. Anyway, let me get going with it for you. So I don't know if you can see that down in there. In here, you need to get that wax out of there. So let me see if I can get this camera situated to get to where I can show you what I'm talking about. Get a light. You see how there's just that little bit of wax in there? Just a little bit on that edge there. This light won't stand up for me. All right. That needs to come out of there. You got to remove that. What that'll do right there, this part, it'll round the bottom of that edge off. And I know I said we wanted to change that radius, which we do, but you don't change this radius. You don't round that off, because what it'll do, let me see, I'm gonna get some paper here. Here, watch this. And a marker. To hang out with me for a minute. All right, sorry about that. Okay, so what's going to happen there is, if you're looking at the surface, let's say this is the corner, right? That's the radial corner, and we're looking down in there. So let's look down on top of that like this, see? Like that. This edge here, if we go down and look at the bottom of it where I was pointing down there at the bottom of that part of the edge, your mold will look like this. You'll have this cut that'll come back in there. Then you'll have this other part and it'll go in like that. Well, not that dramatic. This part will be extremely fragile. And if you let that happen, your mold edge will end up chipping and it'll just go like this. You'll have a mold edge that'll do that instead of having a good, straight, clean one. So it's important to get these things out of there. There you go. Let's see if we can get you in there to see this. So again, here we have a putty knife. These things they're priceless in the shop. And this one has a sharp edge on it. The other one we used last time had a rounded edge, and that was for popping. But we're gonna use this one with the sharp edge. And I'm gonna use what we call the technology of the stick. Clean it off really quick. Yeah. That's it. The technology of the stick. It's just a paint stick. I use this tool so much. Okay, so I'm gonna take this, and I'm not gonna push either, because if I push, I can push stuff underneath that edge and it'll raise it. So you never wanna push against this. You wanna drag it like that. See that? I'm gonna just keep doing that until I get that edge cleaned up the way that I want it. See, there's still that little piece there I'm unhappy with. Right. My camera sucks. That one little piece, I'm unhappy with that. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna fix all these edges. Make sure they're clean. See, that one's got a bunch in it too. There we go. Try not to do that. So I'm gonna clean those all up. That's important stuff to know though. I probably don't have to tell you guys this, but all of these putty knives that I'm showing you, like this, and how we use them and everything, we don't use them for anything except popping molds and moving wax. You don't use them for Bondo or any bodywork or anything because they're contaminated. I wouldn't even trust cleaning them off, like soaking them in acetone. Their purpose is only for doing things like this. You can't mix Bondo with these ever again. You can't mix Cavasil. You can't use these for anything except for popping a mold and working with wax and contaminants. So if anybody's concerned about that, just to clear that up. This is something completely unrelated to the camper. I'm working on this blazer top still, repairing a lot of small detailed fractures on it. And this is called knife trimming. This is something, man, this will cut down your time and everything. And it's just a matter of catching the material in the right time. If it looks like it started snowing, it did. I had this out here. It's gonna be fine. Don't worry about it getting wet because it's already tacked up enough to where it's not gonna hurt it. But kind of got caught with my pants down having this project outside today. This material is gonna get to a certain point where it tacks up. And you see all these little things right here? I would have to grind all those out and shape them. And then this, especially that right there, trim that off. Well, if you get to it in time and you if you're around, you can knife trim that. See that? Just a razor knife. There's a certain point that you can do this, and man, it cuts your time down by so much. Let me explain a little bit more of like when you can do this and when not to do it. So how I worked on that edge back there, let me get the camera set up for you. If it's gonna fracture the resin back into the part that you're repairing, don't do it. It's not ready. There is a time when you can do it though, and it's easy to tell. You can just kind of go in and just start cutting it. You know, see that's ready. I'm gonna cut that out. This doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal or it's gonna make that much of a difference, but it really does. When you're sitting here sanding this and you're sanding off this crap that's all the excess out there, it really makes a difference. So yeah, knife trimming. It's a very, very valuable thing. You know, when I miss a knife trim, I'm like, oh man, now I gotta do all that sanding. It's gonna suck. You know, but when you're doing multiple repairs on this thing, so many little fractures and repairs, it's awesome when you get to it. You know, you can just finish your day out knowing that when you come back tomorrow, you're not gonna have to do all of this grinding and sanding and cutting that you thought. There you go. So when I'm laying in bed at night thinking about all the stuff I'm supposed to be doing and all the things I have to do, this is something that I don't have to think about. See, I got that one, I got that one, I got this side one here. I'm gonna cut all the excess off and away from that. And then I got the tailgate inside in there. I can't go in there. They're making stuff that we can't have on camera. I have a contract, and if I get their molds on camera, they will fire me and throw a fit. So yeah, knife trim. It's awesome. I'm gonna put one more coat of wax on it. You see how right here, this is kind of turning a green tint? That's when I start to feel comfortable with knowing how much wax is on it. Let me see. See, there's not really any green tint over here. There kind of is in this area right there a little bit. But I'm going to do one more coat of wax just for the hell of it. Yep, nice and dry. Nice and dry, I can feel it. All right. Let's look at the wax and the seam one more time. It's really important to get this out. I know I keep showing it to you over and over again, but watch this. You don't want to scrape the wax off. You just want to get it out of there. And what it does is it makes a very sharp razor edge. See that? Well, right there. Just that little bit of wax. So let me draw it out again for you guys, because I've screwed up so many molds just by overlooking this. So whenever I get to this point with people, I really explain it to them. So I'm going to draw this. I'm going to draw it from this view, right? Let's go over to the thing here, like I drew it last time. Okay, so you're looking at that thing like that, right? I said I was going to draw it from this way. Actually, we're going to look down on it, right? So what am I doing? Oh. Okay, so we have, this is the part that's bolted to it right there. This is the plug that runs on there. If you leave that wax in that corner right there, it'll make this little sharp edge that comes out like that. Because it's a buildup of material right here. It's in that radius. And it doesn't seem like much, but it makes like a little razor's edge. And it'll chip right off of there as soon as you start pulling your mold apart, or you pull your plugs apart. And it just makes this edge that'll be broken and fragile, and it'll just keep chipping. It'll chip back further and further away, and so your mold won't last very long without having to do these repairs to it. I'm not very good at explaining things. I'm good at showing them to people. So as we do this process, I don't know. I'll show you instead. Okay, how's that sound? I'll try to explain it, but I'll also show you. That's kind of just how I work. More storms. Knocked down a bunch of trees. We lost power for the whole entire day. Took out 5 of the power poles. Just trees landed on them out here. So that's a tree we just lost. That's a bonus though, because that tree was leaning towards the barn and we were going to take it down anyway. So that's good stuff. This is another knife trim. This one is a really good example. Okay, you see this right here? See this? So on this side, that was broken. It was all fractured. But I got to cut that out again. So see this? I'm gonna knife trim it out. Wait for the perfect time. Saves you so much work getting in there with a Dremel and stuff. Man, that would suck to have to do that. So you can just knife trim that out. I mean, you can block sand it too. I mean, you have to kind of get it perfect. But you see that? Isn't that nice? Isn't that just great? Just knife trim all that out of there, and you don't have to worry about. What always happens in our shop is like somebody will go in there and they'll screw the old stuff up by grinding and cutting, and then you have to patch it again or something. So I like to do it that way. The only problem is right now is I can't let go of it because this clamp is actually holding that in where it needs to be. So that's it. Really good example of how valuable knife trimming is. Well, we didn't get our gel coat and our laminates done this week. So it's Saturday, and I wanted to have this gel coated or sprayed with tooling gel, and then I wanted to have it laid up. But that didn't happen. We had a storm out here. See all the snow? And the power went out. We lost 4 power poles, 3 or 4, down the road, and it took forever to get power back on. So this is what I'm going to do today. I am going to do like a tutorial on how to spray tooling gel, what tooling gel is, why you use it, and all that stuff, and what gun I use and how I spray it. So let's do that instead. Let's all learn how to use gel coats and tooling gels at this point. So just to recap, we got all of this all of this waxed and ready to go. So I've got a minimum of 5 coats of wax on this. And I feel pretty confident. You can kind of see the green tint to it that I was talking about earlier in some of it. So anyway, this is red tooling gel, and we're going to spray red tooling gel over the top of that. So let's go ahead and get that done. So I'm getting set up to do the tooling gel. So this is red tooling gel. See that? Pretty red color. And this right here is a little bit of white gel coat. And I'll explain what this is for in a second. So let's talk about tooling gel versus gel coat. Tooling gel is harder than gel coat. It's very, very hard material. It's made to go into the manufacturing process for molding. So you spray your molds with tooling gel when you make a mold. You don't spray them with gel coat. If you spray your mold with gel coat, you immediately get all the spider fractures and the cracks and that. Tooling gel is it's made to prevent that. It doesn't make it not happen. It will happen. You'll start getting cracks even in your tooling gel. But the tooling gel will last a lot longer than gel coat. So don't spray a mold with gel coat when you're making the mold. You spray the mold with gel coat when you're making a part. And then the reason I have the white gel coat is because I'm going to spray red tooling gel over red tooling gel. You don't have to do this, but it's something that people do. So I'm trying to incorporate all the information of how to and whatever. So what you do is you add just a little splash of white gel coat to your tooling gel to change the color a little bit, so that when you're spraying the red over red, there's a color difference and it's easier to see what kind of coverage you're getting, because putting the coverage is very important to prevent the resin from penetrating through it. If the resin penetrates through it when you're laminating it, you'll get a thing called alligator, and it's a chemical reaction because your gel coat's too thin. So that's the reason some people do that. I don't do it necessarily all the time, but I'm going to do it just to demonstrate it for you in case you decide that you want to do that. This is how I spray it. I put a little bit of acetone, just a little bit of acetone in the tooling gel. I would say probably about right there to the tip of my finger, just a little splash of it to thin it out a little bit, because I don't like to use a gel coat gun. I'll go grab the gel coat gun and show you what that is, and I'll grab the paint gun and show you the differences between the two. Okay, so a gel coat gun. This is the cup for it. This is the gun. So you can buy this gun from these people. I don't have, it's ES Manufacturing Inc. I don't have any sponsorship from anyone, so I'm not really promoting anything. I'm just showing you what I've used over the years. That little hole right there is very important to make sure that that's not clogged up. It's one of the most important things. When you clean this gun, some of the most important things to clean are these little vents right here. And then this ring is really important. Sometimes we'll just take a little bit of Vaseline and smear it around on there to seal it, because what it does is it goes in there like that. It sits inside that, and it just puts a lot of material out really fast. This has cups. I just use bags because I'm cheap. Well, actually I'm poor, I'm not cheap. So I've always just gone to the store and I grab some of these bags. They're just large freezer bags, and I'll put it on there like that. So you put all your gel coat in there, snap the lid on like that, and then this back piece, this just hooks to the back of the cup like that. And this, all these parts are readily available. You can just buy a new cup, you can buy a new gun or a new lid. So this is kind of just an industry standard. This is a small gel coat gun. They have really big ones that you can use too, like with pressure pots and stuff. Anyway, enough of that. I don't use this. I don't like it. I've never really liked using a gel coat gun. This is what I use. So it's a 2-point tip, and it puts out a lot of material as well. So that's why I thin it out with acetone, just a little bit. You just hit some acetone in there, 10%, and you can use just an HVLP gun with the 2.0 tip. The reason I like it is because we use this gun for everything. We use it for primering, you can use it for gel coat, you can use it for whatever we're doing. I have another one that we use for spraying PVA film. There's a releaser film that you can use instead of wax. It's called a PVA film. So you can spray releasers with it. If you spray releasers out of a gun, never, ever again use it for primers. These are two separate guns. So there's this gun and there's another one we have that we use for releasers. Anyway, that's just my preference. I've always just done it that way. I used a gel coat gun when I worked on airplanes quite a bit, just because that's what they wanted us to use. But as soon as I got my own shop running, I switched over to the HVLP again with the 2.0 tip. Okay, cool. Let's talk about how to mix the gel coat. So this is a catalyst bottle. You'll see them in every fiberglass shop you go to. They're everywhere. You got to have one. It's 5 cc's, 10 cc's, 15. It goes in intervals of 5 all the way up to 35. So 1 cup of this, I put 15 cc's of catalyst into that. MEKP, methyl ethyl ketone peroxide. This is a 90% is what it's called. It's for cold weather. That's why you'll see out here that I'm spraying in this weather that's super, super cold, and it sets up. It's because I'm using a 90% catalyst. There's a 30% catalyst you can use for the summertime, like in August when it's like 85 degrees or close to 90. You can use that 30%, and it gives you a little bit more time to work with the stuff. But anyway, 15 cc's per 20 ounces is generally what I've used my whole 29 years of doing this, like that. When I do resin, polyester resin, this is a 20-ounce cup. I'll do 5 cc's to 20 ounces of polyester resin. So it's pretty simple. That's why we use polyester everything. There's a lot of shops that'll switch over to these West systems. They'll use epoxies. They'll use all this stuff. We use vinyl ester and polyester. That's it, because it's all one system. You can't put the wrong stuff in. It's just, there's one catalyst for all of it. It's a streamlined process. And I like the polyesters and the polyvinyl, or not the polyvinyl, the vinyl ester resin. Just used it for 29 years, never had a problem with it. No, I don't see a reason to switch over to a West system or something like that. So I've got the tooling gel all mixed up. I put a little bit of white gel coat in it, just a splash to change the color. Put some acetone in it, and then I strain it. I grew up in a body shop. It's just habit. And this tooling gel is kind of old. It's been sitting around the shop for a really, really long time. So I just like to strain it. Every time I spray with the gun, I kind of like to practice and keep up of trying to be a good painter. So I always pretend like I'm painting a car, or trying at least. Here is, that's the color we have now. Oh man, why did I do that? Dripped it on my stuff. So this is the tooling gel. It's red. This is it tinted. It's just a little difference. It's just enough for you to see your coverage of when you're spraying it on there. So when you do this, I'm going to spray just red tooling gel first, and then I'm going to come back in my second coat. I'm going to spray that on there, so I know that I got complete coverage. There's a gauge. It's called a gel coat gauge, and it's to show you how thick your gel coat is. I've never used one. I've seen them. We had them in the shop when I was working at the airport, and we just never used them. You get good at spraying this stuff and knowing how thick it is. The main thing is what you're looking for is a lot of texture in the paint, kind of like an orange peel. You can see that, and that'll show you the thickness that you need. Just thickness of the gel coat is just by the texture of it on the mold. Here's one reason why I strain this stuff. See all those chunks in there? Like that? Well, it's not really a matter of it going through your gun and getting chunks of stuff on what you're spraying. That stuff is uncatalyzed, and it won't catalyze. You can't get that to catalyze because it's just a soft chunk of hardened stuff, and it's going to go into your mold or your plug or your part. So that'll stay in there. That'll be soft. It'll never catalyze or harden, and it could create some problems down the road. It's not super critical when you're doing like boats and stuff, but when you're doing aircraft, you need to make sure that the whole entire system that you're using, meaning the gel coat system, the polyester system or whatever, it's all going to function the way that it was designed to. And little things, whoa, don't get on my toolbox. Little things like that are going to maybe compromise something. In a boat, it doesn't matter, but when this thing, if this was an aircraft part, when it gets to 30,000 feet and it's going 300 miles an hour, that change in pressure is going to cause those pieces, those little tiny soft pieces, to either they'll pop. That's what happens when you get voids in air in aircraft parts. They'll go to altitude and they'll pressurize and they'll pop. So that'll probably do the same thing, or it'll collapse upon itself, and it will give the composites a spot where air can get in, and it's called a delamination, and it could delaminate and you'll have a total part failure. So that's one of the main reasons why I strain a lot of stuff. Okay, so I got the red tooling gel on there, and I'm outside in the snow doing it. This is what a real startup company looks like. See, we're out here using what we have because we want to do this, and it's super cool. I love this. Yeah, we're not asking people for money. We're not doing fundraisers or nothing. And the reason is because when we're done with this, we want to own the company 100% ourselves. You know, we don't want to be, we don't want anybody to be able to tell us what to do. We just want to have the freedom to build our own company and do it how we want to do it. So, I don't know. Sorry to get on a side rant there. Anyway, so I've told you in other videos, don't get this stuff in the sun. So I sprayed this red tooling gel on here. So in between the red tooling gel and the plug that I sprayed it on, there's the wax. Even in this temperature, it's like 34 degrees out here. Even in this temperature, the sunlight will melt that wax in between the two. So I got to get my second coat on there, and I got to get this inside. UV light is really bad for your stuff when you're working on it. So, but I don't have a choice. I'm poor. I don't have a facility or to do all this inside. We're out of room. So I'm going to do that, and that'll probably be it for the day. I have to wait for this to cure. It will cure in this temperature. You just got to put more catalyst in it. I've noticed over the years that, you know, about anything below 30, you're not going to get to function properly. But at 35 and above, it's just a matter of 90% catalyst and the want to. You got to want to do it. I always tell people that everyone has $1 million idea, because a lot of people ask me to make stuff for them, or they tell me about their business plans. And man, I've heard so many great ideas, just people just don't do it. They just, somewhere they fall off the inspiration train, and they just don't do it. So anyway, here, I hope you guys are having a good weekend. I got to get this done. right, there it is. It's all sprayed. And you can see, I don't know if it's gonna show it or not, but there's a real heavy texture to it. And that shows you that it's on there really thick. So next week, I'm gonna show you guys some stuff that I had to go through when I was a kid, when I was building race cars and stuff when I was in my 20s. So I had to buy the materials from work, and you can't afford to lose material or have all these weird things happen like an alligator reaction or something like that. So I got some stuff here that I'm not happy with. See, there's a hole in that, and you see at the edge of the mold right there? You should sand these flat, but this is a quick piece that we're making. So anyway, this is a spot where the resin can get behind that or in it, and it could cause an alligator reaction, and you'll lose all this material. And then if you're like me when I was a kid, you can't afford it, you know? So I'm gonna show you guys how to fix that and prevent that from happening, so you don't spend your money on material that you're gonna lose. See all these little things right here? Those are important to know what to do with that. The other one I wanted to say real quick is you really wanna make sure you spray the edge really thick too, because that resin's gonna sit on top of it when you go to laminate this. The resin's gonna sit on there, and if it wasn't thick, it would get in between this part right here, this vertical part, and it would cause another chemical reaction. So next week I'm going to show you guys how to prevent that stuff from happening, and we're going to make this part. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to our page to be entered in for a chance to win a camper when we're done building this thing. And yeah, give us some support for our little camper company. We appreciate it. Thanks for watching, man. I hope you guys have a good weekend.